Hello, everybody. Welcome to the United Front. This is your Manchester United preview against Arsenal. Obviously, as you know, Premier League's back, which is obviously amazing, exciting. But obviously for Manchester United, our first game is obviously against Arsenal. Um, as you know, obviously from the title, tough start. Obviously, we do. I mean, pretty much most people could say Man United do have the toughest start, but I mean, equal to that, so do Arsenal. I mean, you always look at can obviously look at their their first five games. Obviously, us, which is on a Sunday, Leeds, Liverpool at Anfield, Arsenal against Forest, and obviously City. So it's not very easy. And obviously they got Newcastle as their six. So it's obviously not easy, but we do have a tough start. Look, I feel like it's one of those games where it's tough to predict. Obviously, as you do guys know, that Arsenal do have a bad record coming to Old Trafford. Now, that doesn't mean that fortune would obviously come in our favours, because we've seen this before where we've got a record and somehow that record's been broken. I remember I believe 2 seasons ago Arsenal did the double over us. So look, I mean, they could happen. They look, to be honest, they are favourites despite being at home advantage to us. But look, it's about obviously proving the haters wrong because look, I've heard people saying that United could finish eighth this season. Now, obviously, it's not great. Now, people are saying it's a huge jump, but is that a jump that you really want to go to? Because look, I don't really care, but we're Man United. We should be, competing. But at this point, I feel like look, I predicted them to be fifth. Hopefully, they do get there. But you know, if anything better, just getting the Champions League, and hopefully, years to come, we can obviously, um, compete for the title. But obviously, it's a long way to go. But you know, I've obviously gone with this lineup. Now, obviously, in terms of back three and goalkeeper, you guys will probably be different because um, I put Maguire on because I think having someone like Gyökeres is going to be tough to deal with, despite his first game in the league, in the Premier League, but he still has that British experience, him coming through Brighton, obviously his loan at Swansea, then he obviously went to Coventry, which he was good at, and obviously made him the move to Sporting. So he isn't a stranger when it comes to obviously to English football. Um, so yeah, I feel like Maguire. Now, look, I know people might say, why did I put a left sided centre back? Look, I feel like that's what Amrin would go with, but I just think someone like Gyökeres, you need to have someone, you know, because he is going to be a threat, and I think someone like Shaw, I think he had a bad preseason. Um, and I've seen his battle against Saka, so I don't feel like it's such a matchup that you really want to say, you know what, I feel like Luke Shaw could favour into this. Aiden Heaven, too young, so could be a look. He is one for the future, obviously, but to be put him into a big game like this is huge risk, and obviously pressure comes in between it. So and obviously don't forget former Arsenal player as well, so that plays a part in it. So that's why I'm going with Euro Delict on the right. Now I know people might say in the middle is better. But again, I just think having someone like Gyökeres, you want someone like Delict and a Maguire to, you know, keep him quiet. So I know people might say Onana might come back and still want Onana. I still want to buy in there because I was supposed to do my keep so or bench video. Obviously, a lot of things came in the way, so I'll probably say it now. I don't understand this hate from Bayern there. Now, I'm not saying he's great and he should be and he's underappreciated. No, I think he's just in the middle. But we need to realize as well, he's only played a few games and we criticize him so badly as if it's the same criticism we're giving Onana. And I keep thinking to myself, why? People like, what? People saying he's on the same level as Onana, it makes me want to vomit. Because I don't think he's on the same. I think he's better than Onana. Not saying, oh, he should be number one. I'm not saying that. But judging someone from a few games and saying, "Oh, you know what? He's not good enough." It doesn't make sense. Now, I can say a certain, let's just say 3 games. When we played Leon over 2 legs, in between that game, we were playing against Newcastle, and everyone knows the result of that. In the first leg against Leon, even the thumbnail of the title will tell you a nightmare for Onana. It wasn't 2 goals scored by Leon, it was 2 assists by Onana. If it wasn't for Onana's dreadful howlers or whatever, I think we'd be comfortable even going into, in the second leg. I think we would have won that 2-0. Then obviously he had those howlers, so obviously that meant Bayern was gonna start against Newcastle. And then obviously Bayern makes a mistake. That obviously mistake's a mistake. But then people start saying, "Oh, he made a mistake. That means he shouldn't play. He's already bad." And I keep thinking to myself, it was 3-1. And when he made a mistake, Bruno Guimaraes made it 4-1. And I'm thinking to myself, he made a mistake. But when he made a mistake, it wasn't as costly as Onana, because Onana costed us, that first leg against Leon, that a mistake from a free kick, he doesn't follow the trajectory of the ball. Second, he's handling, and obviously it was an injury time winner. But when Bayern does it, when he does a mistake, which was absolutely meaningless, it was 3-1, we were going to lose that game. People saying, "Oh, he's just as bad as Onana." I mean, I don't understand. I really don't understand. The fact that you're going to say that mistake from on that Newcastle game was as bad as Onana making 2 mistakes in one game, it doesn't make sense. So, I don't really understand. You can't just say that Newcastle game just shows how bad he is for United. No. I've seen him against, Arsenal, where he saved penalties. Look, let me tell you something as well. Even in Fiorentina in the preseason, you could tell he's a very good keeper when it comes to penalties saved. So you can say he's got something in him. But you can't really say to me that Onana's better than him or he's in the same bracket as him, because I think he's way better than Onana. I just feel like he needs more game time. Because I think there's a player in Bayern there, and him having limited games and then we just assess him over those games, I feel that's unfair. Because let me tell you something. People say I feel worried with Bayern there in goal. If you're telling me about being worried about Bayern there, I don't know how you feel about Onana being in net. Because I feel like I'm nervous, even if it's like bloody Southampton. I think, you know what, somehow Southampton are just gonna get upset from us, you know. And look, obviously, look, I think he's way better, because I think in terms of comparison with Onana and Bayern is more of a shot stopper than a sweeper keeper. Obviously, Onana, known for his sweeper keeper, can't save um, anything. But I don't really understand. I mean, I'd rather have a shot stopper anyway than someone that can sweep a keeper, can't shot stop. I mean, I don't really understand the criticism. I'm not saying, "Oh, he's great." No, of course, you give criticism when it's given, but you can't give him the same criticism as Onana, because Onana's been woeful, not only for 1 season, for 2. And I don't know if last season was as worse as his first season. So look, obviously, look, you'd want a keeper that, you want to have a net as comfortable. But if we're being honest, if I had someone to trust to save my life in terms of saving, I don't know, saving us, I'd say Bayern there, not Onana. We've seen this from Onana, where he's out of position, he doesn't know what he's doing, the saves he does is unreal. Whereas Bayern there, I mean, tell me one mistake Bayern there did that was so costly. Okay, you can go back to the Tottenham game when we played them in the League Cup, but people need to realize in that League Cup, it was from a corner. I've seen Onana do that against Wolves, or plenty of times. So you can't really say that, "Oh, he made the mistake in the League Cup." And don't forget, he did get a redemption for obviously when we played Arsenal in the FA Cup. So look, I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's shit. All I'm saying is that for someone to say you know, Bayern is basically on the same level as Onana. I mean, it's like trying to say Saka's on the same level as bloody Ronaldo. It doesn't make sense, and it's absolutely embarrassing. Because I think Bayern there is way better than Onana, and I'd rather look, if I was Amrin, I'd have him as number one. Now look, people, you might say I'm deluding, I'm hysterical, whatever, but really, to be honest, any keeper's better than Onana, even Bayern there as well. And you guys are just over hating. So, I mean, pretty much I've said pretty much half what I said on this preview about buying there, but I just wanted it to be out. I went with Bruno Ugarte. Look, I know people might say Casemiro, but again, he's got no legs. If we were playing in Europe, fair enough, because I think he suits to that. But in the Premier League, it's end to end. Um, I know people could have gone with Ahmad as more of a attacking threat. Um, I've gone with that. Some people might go with Dallo because of defensively. So, and Buemo Cunha, two number 10s, and SESKO. Obviously, this saw a game behind closed doors, but apart from that, I don't know what it is because I've said this about SESKO. Should he start? Should he stay off the bench? Now, initially, I wanted him to come off the bench because it's almost like, oh wow, SESKO's coming on. Let's see if he makes an impact. And we've seen this with Xerxes, and look what he did against Fulham. But knowing Amrin with his substitutions, he does make his substitutions late. And I don't want him to, play Rasmus 70 minutes and then SESKO comes on for 20 minutes, So instead, I think it will be better to put SESKO. Because look, I do want to see SESKO play. And look, everyone's intrigued, excited to see how he is and how he fits for us. But yeah, I think it's obviously great. Obviously start SESKO. And look, I did initially say let him start off the bench, but knowing Amrin with his late substitutions, I'd say start him. I think why not? He played behind closed doors, and I think he scored 2 goals and an assist. So but obviously expected because he's under 21s. But apart from that, really excited. I think he could start SESKO. And I wouldn't be mad if he puts him on the bench. But in terms of being excited for a player like SESKO, who we've yet to see, people want to see him start. So and look, we do want to see him and Gyökeres on the same pitch while they're playing. So obviously there's that as well. So yeah, I went with actually I'm gonna go with predictions now. I'm gonna say about Arsenal as well. So I just wanted to say something. So people have been telling me about Arsenal's got this great squad and everything, but I just want to say something. If there's any one player that's gonna impact a game, it's not gonna be Gyökeres, despite him being destined to score against us. It's not gonna be Saka. It's not gonna be Saliba. It's not gonna be Gabriel. It's not gonna be Zubimendi, Odegaard. In my opinion, I think it's Rice, because when we always talk about players that can make an impact, can control the game and take it, like basically carry the game, I think Declan Rice is that type of player. And not saying because he scored against us in previous seasons. It's just because of what he can do with the ball. Now, obviously, them signing Zubimendi, they're gonna play in the double pivot, but obviously knowing someone like Rice, who the way he drives with the ball, absolutely untouchable. Obviously hard to tackle him, because he's not an easy player to obviously get the ball off. And obviously he's threat when attacking as well, creativity as well. So I think, look, I'm calling this as well. I think he can make an absolute what do you call it? He could change the game from Arsenal. You never know. He could score. So it might look. I'm just saying. I call there. Rice could change the game for Arsenal. And look, looking at my prediction, I did say we were gonna win, but you never know. If there was one player that could change fortunes for Arsenal and could impact them in winning the league title this season, because I did say Arsenal were gonna win, then it's Declan Rice. So look, obviously keep an eye out for him, because look, obviously there's Gyökeres, Saka, Odegaard. I'm not saying they're bad players, but in my opinion, for someone to take the game into their favors, I think it's Rice, because I think he's an absolute brilliant player. I wish we bought him a few years ago, but it is what it is. But yeah, um, predictions. So I did go with 3-2 because I think, you know what, it will be an entertaining game. You're not gonna get 0-0 because it's also Man United unless they do something that absolutely annoys me, which is absolutely give us a boring game, which I don't think they will unless it turns out to be like the Manchester Derby last season. So yeah, interesting enough, I went goal scorers MBEUMO and SESKO twice. So you know, we always talk about Yorker is destined to score against us. I think SESKO is destined to score against Arsenal. Now, obviously, you know, I might get clipped up for that, but I don't care because, you know, initially in another multiverse or another universe, Yorkers would have played for us and SESKO would have been played for Arsenal. But I think to be honest, I'd say 3-2. I think SESKO and Yorkers will play will score in this game for sure. I think it's one of those battles where two players that were interested in both players, you know, it has a story behind it. So that's what makes it entertaining. And obviously, everyone knows the rivalry between Arsenal, so that even makes it more special. So yeah, I went with Buemo scoring one and SESKO scoring a brace. And obviously, man of the match, I went with SESKO, obviously scoring twice. So I figured, why not? So yeah, but apart from that, I mean, look, I mean, it's gonna be a tough. Look, it's tough start, you know. Obviously, excitement for the new season, but apart from that, you know, really exciting. Let's see. Obviously, 2 days from now, when we play against um, Arsenal, you know, let's see what the result will be. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Um, apart from that, oh yeah, don't forget, I'm gonna do my first ever watch along, United related, um, against Arsenal. So tune in for that. Um, apart from that, yeah, really excited because obviously I don't watch alongs on Bournemouth, Liverpool, obviously Liverpool against Palace, but really excited to do at least one, at least a United watch along. So yeah, really excited. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Take care. Hopefully we'll win. See you in the next one.